Um, we're live. Hello, everybody. I'm here with Jonathan. Hello, Jonathan. Uh, w- I'm really bad at introducing people. Would you like to introduce yourself? Uh, yes. Yeah. Um, so we have to like wait a few minutes for people to join the stream. Now that there's a YouTube notification went out, and I just sent a tweet out, so takes a few minutes for people to join. Um, oh, Gik's here. Hi, Gik. I know you can't talk, but he's here. So Jonathan, do you want to briefly talk about that the event you went to in London? Yeah. Oh, one sec. We have that bug where they can't hear the Discord, and this is largely because I use uh, a beta plugin, um, and the beta plugin often breaks. So okay, they should hear you now.
Okay, cool. Hello everyone. I'm Jonathan from Tochny. I do teaching and supporting Ukraine and stuff. And yeah, that rally on the 24th was memorable. It was one of those Ukraine rallies where you have a lot of Ukrainians who are living abroad. They arrive at the rallies with pictures of fallen Ukrainian warriors on signs that they're carrying. It wasn't really a celebration, even though it was Ukrainian Independence Day. It was more a solemn occasion with a lot of passion involved. It's always good to. One of the things I really like about these events is that I always hear new stories. So stories from Ukrainians, and there's quite a diverse range of places in Ukraine that Ukrainians living in my country, the UK, are from. So yeah, if you want to hear some recordings from that, the 27th of August, uh, Tochny 27th of August is the place to find them.
Yeah, yeah, that was. I remember hearing you talk about that, and there's another thing we don't need to get into, which although it was greatly amusing to me. But yeah, that was an interesting event, and it was held obviously in lots of places simultaneously because it was like a bit of a holiday, and yeah, so that's interesting. Anyway, that I think that we've bought time for people to join. uh, anyways, I'm not really sure how to transition to or what we're transitioning to be honest. We're just kind of winging it. Jonathan, where do you think we should start? Should I go over the news, which is not very much, or should we talk about something else?
Well, there's been a lot of boats I've noticed
Yeah.
in your lists lately, Andrew. Uh, there was a boat on a van
Yes.
yesterday.
There was
A
a
lot of
boat.
boats today. What's all that about? Do
Yeah.
you reckon?
So there was a boat on top of a truck. That was it was the music. I didn't know if I should list it as a truck kill or a boat kill or both. So I just listed it as a boat as a truck. Um, okay, so there is this guy who very typically posts Russian airstrikes, and the airstrikes that he covers are pretty universally limited to Berislav, and all these towns like Mykolaiivka and Orikhovo-Vasylivka and Lviv or Lvova and whatever it's called, and over to Tihinka. I don't know how to say that town, but basically it's this little area of the Dnipro River, and he usually posts airstrikes, and typically they have a drone which is hovering either like roughly here or like over here, one or the other. They kind of flip back and forth, and he just films the airstrikes. And I assume that he's doing that the drone is doing some sort of bad, like a damage assessment or correction or something like of that nature. I assume that's what he's doing. But yesterday, he decided to post just like a giant mountain of destroyed boats. And it was not a montage, as a lot of people assumed it was a montage. It wasn't. Every boat was its own video, and there were like 40 of them. And it was driving me crazy. Like, I tried geolocating some of them, but I couldn't be bothered because it was so boring to locate boats. And I'll show you some of these videos. Just give me a second. And you'll see how ridiculous it would be to locate these, because it's like completely pointless to even try. Here, I'll get one. Like, this is a boat. This is an example. They popped a boat. Okay. So like this times a whole bunch is what he was doing. And there's a car mixed in. But mostly it was just boats. Just boats. Just tons of boats. So this is what he did. I did locate a few of the videos, and I assume all of the videos were in roughly the same place because all the ones I located, except for one, were in the same place. So, so this is one of them where they were shelling at the mouth of this river, whatever that river's called. And here's another one shelling in roughly the same place, and here's another one shelling in roughly the same place, except on the other side of the river. And the other video of his was over here, where they were shelling on the river. And I assume all of those boat videos were either like on this island. Well, this is one island, isn't it? So I assume all those boats were on this island somewhere. I didn't feel like finding them. It's not worth it. There's also an airstrike here yesterday, and I believe more. Yeah, 2 more today. So, oh, that one didn't load for some reason. I need to fix that. Anyways, so that's basically the boat situation. That's why there were so many boats yesterday. I don't know if all those videos were new, but I have a feeling at least most of them were. Because this guy, he kind of just, for the most part, he publishes stuff like as it happens, typically, or a day or two later, something like that. Other people steal from him and then like slap their little watermarks and repost it, and those are usually old, but his original videos are typically somewhat new. So yeah, that was the boat news.
So were all of these boats empty that you can see, Andrew?
All of the boats were empty. Only one of the boat videos had a human in the video, and the human was nowhere near the boat. He was.
I'm guessing they classed that as a boat kill, a bit like the Battle of the Falaise Gap and destroyed pranks.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
It must be terribly obnoxious to have your boat popped like that, because most of them are those like rubber dinghy type boats. There were a few canoes and a few wooden boats, but most of them are like rubber boats. So you just like go back to your boat, you're like, they popped my boat. Like, what? It's annoying. How do I cross this river now? I don't know, dude. Like, not really sure what they're going for other than just being annoying. Because I'm sure they can get another boat. It's not that far, you know? Oh, yeah.
I'm
No.
guessing. I'm guessing that the boats that are likely to be used are probably under some kind of cover. They're not the ones that are just kind of
Um,
left open.
a lot of these boat videos, not all of them. I mean, there's so many boat videos. Like, a few of them, like the ones I showed you, they were out in the open. Um, a few of them were hidden, like in bushes and stuff. Um, yeah. Uh, so yeah, I don't know what else to say about the boats. It drove me crazy yesterday because he like posted like 14 boat videos, and while I spent like 20 minutes looking through them, seeing if I could locate them, he posted like 14 more. Like he's, man, it drove me crazy.
Have we seen a boat on a loaf yet, Andrew?
No, no boats on loafs. No, we have seen an armored loaf. We've seen. I don't know if I can show it. I don't think I can. But today there was an ammo loaf. The ammo loaf exploded. I don't even remember where it was. But oh, it was over here, near Opitna. Uh, this ammo loaf, it had a. I don't even. I'm not really sure how it was damaged. I assume it was a drone. Because a drone like flew over it and was like hovering right above it, and then they cut to this image from further away with the loaf exploding. So maybe the drone dropped a grenade or something. I couldn't really tell, but this loaf, it blew up. What's a loaf? Here, I'll show you a loaf. Um, all you got to do is just Google Soviet loaf truck, and they'll pretty much get you what you want to see. Uh, this is a loaf. There you go. It looks like bread. That's why it's called a loaf. Yeah, there you go. It's like a, it's kind of like a Jeep, but like a van. It's like a van Jeep. It's a four-wheel drive. This is, it's like Russia's main logistics right now. It's kind of funny. Um, some people call it logistics. I don't know what fraction of their logistics are run by loafs, but it's a lot more than they want. Like, preferably it would be 0% loafs, but it's probably more like 20% loafs.
It looks easily baked.
Yeah. And you make a lot of toast with it. Like this. This is,
We've got a question in the chat, Andrew. What's the difference between a loaf and a Scooby Doo van?
um, well, this is the loaf, I believe, is the Soviet version of an American truck. And I think the American truck is the Scooby Doo van, and the loaf is like the Soviet version. Because there was another. I don't remember the American truck, but they're like almost identical. Uh, I can't remember the name though. If you have them side by side, you'll see that they're like basically the same. The Soviets just like copied it. And it's not the only one either. Like I think the French had one, and I think Germans had one. Uh, it's just like a truck, you know, like a van, I guess. And it has that like what is it, like the 60s/70s style, I guess. So yeah, a UAZ is a loaf. The loaf is just a nickname for it. But anyways, many. Uh, oh, to do now. Today there were a very large number of airstrikes around Olivka. These all came from the same boat guy, by the way. But oh, actually no, it came from a different guy. It came from the other airstrike account. But these are a lot of airstrikes, and I just want to kind of highlight how many airstrikes there have been lately. So this is everything dating back to August 18th. So this is just the sheer number of airstrikes along the Dnipro River is absurd. Not all of these are airstrikes. Like some of these are drone attacks and stuff, and some are missile strikes. But most of these are airstrikes, and it's ridiculous. I'm not really sure what Russia's going for here, other than just knocking down these towns. Like some of these towns, like Mykolaievka in particular, it's just ridiculous. It's like every house has a bomb on it. It's just wild. And Olivka is also pretty ridiculous. And I just want to stress that not all of these bombs markers represent one bomb. Some of them represent two. Some of them represent four. And not all of them are geolocated. Some of them are based on reports from the general staff, and some are based on reports from the governor and the state government. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I can move on to something else. What is there? So there's like three major news topics that I can talk about. There's the Robotyne area. There's the south of Bakhmut area, and then there is this kind of northern Svatova area. I'm not sure which one to do first. uh, I guess I could do Svatova first. In the Svatova area, there have not been any ground attacks really. All of the attacks have been in the air, more or less. The ground has mostly slowed down. Like the attacks in the north of Kupiansk are reducing in intensity and in frequency. Around Novoselivska, Ukraine has been attacking a little bit. It's not like super heavy attacking though. It's more like just like small tactical stuff. South of Svatova, I've heard very little. And in the Kremena area, there's been some. It's basically the same as it was. There's like some intense fighting, but the fighting never seems to really go anywhere. So it's just kind of like ongoing intense fighting without change, which is how you could describe it for the past like 9 months or so. But there have been way more airstrikes, especially south of Kremena. There's been tons and tons of airstrikes, and also near Kupiansk, there have been lots of airstrikes. There have been missile strikes in Kupiansk itself. I've heard yesterday there was a strike north of Kupiansk on like the highway, and today they say that there was a missile strike in Kupiansk, which I assume was towards a bridge, maybe. There was also airstrike near Singova, which I assume was also near a bridge. But otherwise, they've just been doing tons of airstrikes. Now, I do want to talk about these bridges. Russia has claimed that they have knocked down all of the bridges. They're saying that now Ukraine has to like go through Izium to resupply this north. It's not true. It's just not true. It's a psyop. They're trying to win on Telegram, where they can't win in reality. I don't really want to get into the detail on how I know it's not true, but it's not true. And in the next few days, there's no satellite today. I can't remember if satellite is tomorrow, but in the next satellite pass, I think if when we look at the bridges, I think we're going to see they're still standing. So, yeah, that's more or less all I have to say about this spot area. Just airstrikes and PsyOps, basically. Around Seversk, there's no real changes. More the same, basically. And north of Bakhmut is another PsyOp that worked on people for some reason. Russia published a video where they were in these houses in Orikhovo-Vasylivka. These houses right here. I'll zoom out and you'll see where these houses are. It's like right in the A in Vasylivka right there. Now, I just want to show you what Orikhovo-Vasylivka looks like right now. Because in these videos, the grass is so green. It's so green, the grass. It's right in the beginning of spring. You know what I mean? So green and happy. So just keep that in mind. How so green. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the image from yesterday, the satellite image from yesterday, and then maybe not yesterday. Oh no, it's loading. I'm sorry. It takes a while to load. But we'll see if do you think Orikhovo-Vasylivka is still bright green and happy and a little bit muddy? Let's see. Let's see what the satellite has to say while it loads. It's loading very slowly. Okay. So this isn't the image from yesterday. It's the image from the 25th. So it's from a few days ago. These houses, they're not very green and happy. They're more brown. The grass is brown. It is not green. The trees are green. Trees usually stay green until the leaves fall off. But the grass, not green. And it's also not muddy because it's a little dry, actually. Hasn't rained in a while. The video that they posted is either from late April or May. And people took this video and thought it was yesterday for some reason. Apparently they forgot that summer exists and makes the ground not green anymore. Makes it a little bit yellow and brown. But, yeah, so this is another PsyOp. They tried to do a PsyOp here. They're doing a PsyOp on the river up there. And it's, I guess, people who don't think very hard fall for it. Now, getting to the south of Bakhmut. I'm just curious, Jonathon, what do you think is going on south of Bakhmut? Like, what is your impression? I'm just curious.
I'm just looking at your map now, Andrew, from the last few days, and the salience that is it's kind of south of there. I'm guessing not a lot of change in the last 48 hours. Am I somewhere close?
Yeah, for the most part, not measurable change. It's not from lack of trying either. So Ukraine tried to push across the railroad from roughly here, which is north of Krasnohorivka and north of Zelenopilya, They tried to push across the railroad, and simultaneously they tried pushing across the railroad south of Andriivka. The goal was to kind of take like this kind of portion here. So, from what I've understood, Ukraine did push across the railroad. They did take positions, but I'm not sure if they kept them. And that's the awkward part. This is a very dangerous situation for Ukraine right now. Because it's pushing across this railroad is one of the harder things for them to do. It's easier to defend this railroad than to defend Klashivka or Andriivka. It's easier to defend the railroad, especially with Kurdyumivka still standing in at least semi-Russian control. So I don't think Kurdyumivka will last long, but in order for Kurdyumivka to fall, Ukraine needs to cross the railroad just north of it, which is what they're trying to do. Ukraine's basically trying to take Kurdyumivka, and they're doing exactly what you would do to take it, which is cross this railroad, kind of get a foothold on the other side, and then attack Zelenopilia. Yesterday and today, the Russians said that they repelled attacks on Zelenopilia. I don't think Ukraine was literally attacking the town. I think they're attacking this northern part. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on south of Klashivka. Now, kind of north of Klashivka, it's kind of going back and forth who's attacking, because Ukraine attacked and they crossed the railroad, but then Russia counterattacked, and I'm not sure if Ukraine is still on the other side of the railroad. So Russia is really trying to stop Ukraine on this railroad. They're putting all the resources they have into doing that. And I corrected part of my map here. It's not a huge correction, but it's a small correction. So that is kind of the news south of Bakhmut. There's not much change. And it's not from lack of trying. And it's not... There's a lot of casualties, too, in this. Casualties is kind of the word of the day, I guess. It's just there's just tons of casualties in these offensives. And that's kind of what's slowing everything down. There's lots of casualties on both sides, but obviously it's easier to defend. The problem with pushing between Klashivka and Andriivka is that this is a lowland, marshy, watery area. So look at it on Google Earth and you'll see what I mean. So this is all a lowland. I guess I'll set it so that you can see the exaggerated, because so now everything will be 300% now before. Okay, so the vertical axis is now 3 times larger, exaggerated by 300%. Okay, so you see that Ukraine is on the high ground. I mean, in order to move through this, they have to attack down the hill and then back up the other side. And this is all a watery marsh with like these ponds. There are some crossing points, but this is a bit of a nightmare to cross. It's Ukraine is on the better side of the two sides, which is nice in a way, but it's still very difficult. One of the hardest things you can do is attacking downhill where you have to go uphill again on the other side. It's very dangerous. and especially if you're moving through this water marsh. So that's a bit of the issue with attacking up here and above Andriivka. Now, south of Andriivka, you don't have this issue at all. It's basically flat. So that's why they're attacking south. This was all very easily predictable. I feel like I've been talking about this for like 5 months. So it's not like breaking news, you know. It's just the way the terrain works. Um, Pushing towards the city north of Klashivka is harder than you think. You have to fight through a lot of unfavorable terrain, and you're fighting into a position where the closer you get to the city, the easier it is for Russia to defend. It's just, and also you have to keep in mind that all these bridges are destroyed. So there is this dip here. It's too fine of a dip to see on this map, because this map kind of flattens things a little bit. But right here, you can see it more visually. There is this like it goes down here, and it's like a little bit of like a cliff, I guess. Like there's like a, I don't know the word for this. Jonathan, what's the word? Anyway, it's a like
Decline.
it's like a steep little valley, like a ravine or whatever they're called. And that's why there's a bridge here. But this bridge doesn't exist anymore. And if you remember, Russia built a bridge just south of it with a like a bridge crossing thing, and a BMP drove over it and then blew up immediately on the other side of the thing, and then a tank tried to cross it and tried to drive around the BMP but tipped over. So this bridge isn't working. That they laid. So yeah, I could probably find a picture of that. It's kind of funny. Yeah, I have these pictures. This is what I'm talking about. So the BMP was destroyed just on the other side of the bridge, and then a tank tried to cross, but it tipped over. So it's not working out. Uh, yeah, and yeah, so and that's the bridge is destroyed. Anyways, a gully. Everybody has different words. Some people say it's a ravine. Other people say it's a gully. I don't know. This is why I don't like water words. I'm not good at water. Water words are confusing to me. Still don't even know the difference between starboard and whatever. I don't even know the other one.
It depends which century you're in, Andrew.
It's all very confusing to me. Port side and starboard, and I know fore and aft. Those are the two I got. Anyways, so that's kind of all I have to say about Bakhmut. Anyway, moving on south to Andriivka. There's really not much going on. Yesterday, they blew up this coke plant with big bombs. These big old bombs. I'm not really sure what they achieved in blowing up the coke plant, but they sure did blow it up. And Russia is now attacking towards Pervomaisky and Novelska with no obvious signs of change. There have been some videos recently of the Russian attack on this this rail here, this piece of the rail here. I I could go into a lot of obnoxious detail on that, but I don't really want to. And yeah, so and everything is more or less the same. Russia did this kind of weird attack towards Novomykolivka, where they did a bit of a. They drove up and shot some cannons out of their tanks, and then they drove a a tank that appeared to be laden with explosives, and it exploded in the middle of a field. And then they attacked again, a little bit more conservatively, where they drove into this field here and just kind of fired some pot shots into Ukrainian positions in this whatever this is, like a tree farm. So yeah, and that's about it. Now, getting on to the south, yesterday, Magyar posted a video of a large, what appeared to be a large attack on Eurozhina. So this was a Russian attack where they, oops, video, the image didn't work apparently. I need to fix that. So they pushed up with BMPs and tanks, and the BMPs and tanks, all of them were destroyed. Today, Magyar released another video from, it was the same area, but it was like part 2. And so the video yesterday was this push up towards Eurozhina on this angle. Now, the video he released today, I believe, is more over here, and it showed vehicles driving back and forth, trying to move around infantry and stuff, and a very large amount of those vehicles were also destroyed. So all in all, I think at least 7 vehicles were destroyed in total. 4 were in the video yesterday, and I think there were another 3 today, if not more than that. So, yeah, that was the attack on Eurozhina. Over the past few days, Russia has been attacking north from, it's not really from Prutny, but it's in the Prutny area, towards Rifnapil. They've captured part of this tree line. A bunch of very bad Russian sources thought that they captured this, but they didn't. And in fact, they've posted a video today of Ukrainians in that forest. So, so yeah, that's about that. Now, getting to Robotyne. I don't know. What is there to say about Robotyne? Not much positive. I don't know, John. I don't know how to describe it. Depressing to me. I guess you could say that if something doesn't dramatically change in the very near future, the offensive is going to culminate if it hasn't already. I don't really know what else to say about it. There have been basically no advances over the past, at least none that I can see, over the past few days, week, whatever. The satellite imagery shows all the same areas are getting shelled as were getting shelled before. This is the wrong icon. I need to fix that. There's a lot of things I need to fix apparently, but been a tough morning. But Ukraine is doing they published a series of drone attacks in this northern section of Novoprokopivka, which is where a lot of people have been claiming that Ukraine controls. I don't think they control it. I'm not sure they ever did. I'm not sure they even have a foothold. I don't really know, but there's not much evidence to support it. Over the past few days, there have been Russians shelling kind of closer towards Robotyne than Novoprokopivka. There have been Ukrainian drone attacks just to the west of just to the west of Robotyne. And today, videos of shelling just to the west of Robotyne. So it's just all the evidence points to nothing has changed. And it's not from lack of trying. It's just that they don't have the ability to push through, apparently. Or and I don't know what else to say about it. Just that it seems that the offensive is, unless something changes dramatically, I think this is it.
What change can you see, Andrew, from the recent announcements on a small number of ATACMS being provided to Ukraine? Will this have any kind of effect on the offensive over the next month or so?
I don't think so. I don't think that would change this offensive. It would let Ukraine do things like other sorts of things. It would, like, Ukraine could attack Russia's airfields, which would be nice. Maybe you could stop these bombing raids like all over the place by just wiping out all the airfields in Crimea. That would be interesting. It would be valuable too to maybe take out helicopters and airplanes. I think that's basically what the ATACMS are going to be for. But that doesn't impact the offensive. It hurts Russia. It's useful, but it doesn't change the offensive. You know what I mean? So that's the thing.
Right. I mean, when people see the news about ATACMS, they might think that Loaf trucks getting shredded on their way to the front, places which have like that area that you just showed south of Bakhmut, which is under Russian observation and difficult for Ukraine to advance across. These kind of places might potentially be targetable, but the reality is Ukraine does not have enough weaponry to move.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? Yeah.
I feel like I've been saying this for like ever since the war started, like last year. You can't attack south without air power. You just can't. It's unrealistic. You need air power. You need bombing. It's critically important to drop bombs, and not like one bomb. Like, you're gonna need to drop thousands of bombs, and not little bombs. We're talking big bombs, like a 1,000 kilograms, like 2,000 pounds, like bombs like that, like big bombs. Like, we're talking the big ones, and dropping thousands of them. Because Ukraine can't liberate this territory with infantry. On paper, you could, but Ukraine can't because they don't have enough infantry. You would need like 1,000,000 guys to do that, and they don't have that. At least not 1,000,000 frontline assault infantry. Like, we're talking huge amounts of land. You can't do it with infantry, and you can't really do it with artillery either. It takes something bigger. It takes bombs. You need air power. Air power doesn't necessarily mean airplanes, because a drone could deliver a bomb. It's just that to deliver a bomb this big, you would need a very big drone, like a very big drone, which is doable, but it would take like a World War II type manufacturing effort to make that many airplanes, you know. So yeah, it's just you need you need the bombs. You need bombs, and in theory, there's other ways to deliver bombs as well. You could have a very large mortar, which in the past have existed. I don't, not typically by Western countries. Well, not really, but a little bit. You could have a very large mortar as possible. There's spigot mortars that can shoot like 800-pound bombs out of a spigot mortar. It's possible. It's very unpopular. It's not something that people talk about. And Russia also has their 240 millimeter mortars. You could try to develop something like that, but you'd be developing it from scratch, which would take a long time probably and be very expensive, and nobody wants to do it because there would be no use for it after this war. And that's the issue with the spigot mortar as well. You could develop a spigot mortar, but nobody wants to because nobody would use it after the war. So, and nobody wants to develop the drones either because again, you wouldn't use it after the war. So, AirPower. It doesn't have to be airplanes, but it's going to be airplanes. And yeah, and Ukraine doesn't have the airplanes, so. The mines aren't really the issue. The minefields are annoying. They slow you down. They're dangerous. You'll lose people to them. But they're not really the issue. The issue is that Russia fills all of these trenches with dudes. And in order to move, you have to push all the people at a trench. And the trenches are very time consuming to reach in the first place. And once you reach them, to clear them is very time consuming and you take a lot of casualties. And that's why bombs are kind of the way to go. Because you can clear a trench with very large bombs. With a bomb big enough, the people can't survive it. Just the pressure of the bomb is too great, and you can clear the trench that way. But you can't do this without air power. It isn't going to work out. Because you'll run out of infantry, which is what we're seeing basically, and you'll run out of artillery ammunition, which, I mean, Ukraine didn't have enough artillery ammo to begin with, and now they have even less because they shot all of it basically. And yeah. JDAMs are probably the only realistic weapon that we can use, and we're not supplying enough of them, and we're also not manufacturing enough of them, and also Ukraine doesn't have enough airplanes, so. And when you deliver these bombs, you're gonna have attrition on your planes too. You're gonna get shot down. You're gonna lose a lot of planes because you're gonna be taking a lot of risks. So that's pretty much how I see it. I don't know if Erland can talk yet. He said he might talk later. But anyways,
I'm here.
hi.
Hi, Andrew. Yeah, I've been listening to the whole stream, but I was switching between devices.
I'm not dooming, guys. I am not dooming. I'm telling you the reality here. This isn't doom. This is, you can't capture all this ground with infantry. Every one of these trenches, you're losing a lot of guys attacking them, like a lot. Every single, like if it takes you a company to move a kilometer? Like, how many companies can you lose before you run out of infantry?
So the thing about the bombs, I think you're right. And I think there was a very specific reason for why JDAMs were provided in the first place.
You know,
But of course, they don't work. So
yeah, I mean, JDAMs have their own problems. They claim to have fixed them. I don't know if they have, but yeah, even we don't even make enough JDAMs to do what they need to do. Like we're not manufacturing enough wing kits for them. It isn't even really about being accurate with the bomb because you don't really need that much accuracy. You just need to get within like 10 meters or something, right? So it doesn't need like perfect accuracy. It's not like you're trying to hit a building. Like this is even bigger than a building. You're trying to hit a giant trench line, multiple layers of trenches. Like it doesn't need to be accurate. It just needs to be a big bomb.
The importance of the precision really comes in when you're calling in close fire to your own troops.
Yeah.
That's when it's super important. But the problem is that they need the wing kits to be able to reach the targets, not because of the precision being poor.
Yeah.
But if the wing kits are not working because of EW, then what purpose do they serve? None, because the plane is going to get shut down if they move close enough. It's a big problem. And I hope someone is trying to solve this issue before the F-16s arrive.
I believe right now we can provide something like 9,000 or whatever bombs a month, I think, or something like that. Or is it a year? I can't remember. It was like 9,000 bombs. 9,000 isn't really enough, but at least it's like a lot. It's not like 100, So, man, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to watch this all unfold. Where the West is like moving in slow motion, like everything is as slow as possible, and then like Ukraine is like going as fast as possible. It's like this is like you need to sync up. Like you can't have like the West taking as much time as possible, and then Ukraine like, let's do an offensive, let's go, everybody in. It's like it's not good. You can't do this. It's not good. Ideally, the West would speed up and Ukraine would slow down. Ideally, not throw all of your forces into Robotyne, preferably. But I guess we're past that.
I don't want to put the blame on Ukraine for the speed because, as far as I've understood, the West asked that this would be the pace before the whole offensive. As far as I understood, someone told them you need to reach Melitopol by autumn or something like that.
Yeah, that was wishful thinking.
Yeah. And I think every single Ukrainian on the battlefield knew that was wishful thinking.
Yeah, there's Zelensky said there would be good news tomorrow. I have no idea what he's talking about. I guess we'll find out. Who knows? I mean, I have nothing to say about that. Like, I have no idea what he's talking about. Yep. Jonathan, there was an article you wanted to talk about. Do you want to talk about your article?
Sure. There were a lot of expectations about this offensive, and a lot of people expecting one after the liberation of Kherson last year. And it wasn't just people like me. It was, I'm sure, a few Ukrainians were expecting a form of, a liberation on a bigger scale to happen. So I thought there's a couple of stories from the left bank of the Dnipro that I thought would contextualize this. The first one is about a family whose parents lived on the right bank of the Dnipro, but moved their kids to the left bank, they state, for safety, probably at some point in 2022. The parents of these three kids, Mikita, Sashko, and Andrei, they traveled to live with their grandparents on the left bank, where it's apparently, in the parents' opinion, safer for them back then. However, after the liberation of the right bank last year, the family ended up separated, and the parents spent a long time waiting for what they call deoccupation or liberation to occur, for Ukrainian forces to, so they could take their children. But they realized at some point in the last 12 months, it wouldn't happen anytime soon. So that family, its children included, were finally reunited on the right bank of the Dnipro by Mykola Kubela's charity, SaveUkraine. So a couple of things struck me about this story. The parents of these three kids stated that they realized that liberation wouldn't happen anytime soon. And it struck me that crossing the Dnipro, it has never looked easy, but sometimes in news articles, you will find people claiming that crossing the Dnipro and liberating that left bank, it sounds possible. This has been going on a while, obviously, like about a year. So you've kind of answered this question, Andrew, but my question was going to be, what do you see any indicators for families like the ones of Mikita, Sashko, and Andrei who await liberation on that left bank? Do you see any change specifically around Kherson anytime soon?
Unfortunately, no. I don't see that happening anytime soon. I think in order for this to happen, Ukraine would need a legitimate breakthrough somewhere else. Like literally anywhere. They would need an actual breakthrough, though, not capturing a town, but like chopping out like a big chunk, forcing Russia to send the troops over to try to contain it. And at that point, maybe the river could weaken enough that you could assault across. I do think that this was Ukraine's plan for the offensive, and obviously it didn't work out. So I don't see that happening anytime soon. It could happen in the future, but not now, not for a while. Unless something dramatically changes. I mean, it's possible. It's possible, like, Russia is, like, on the verge of total collapse right now, and tomorrow morning, Ukraine could break through, and I just don't see it happening, though. But I guess it's possible.
Yeah, looks that way. My second, the second thing that interested me was a story about a family whose dad was. Now, I'm pretty sure that this family isn't from Kherson, but the SaveUkraine charity is understandably not specific about the exact place where they rescue people from. It's somewhere obviously from the left bank of the Dnipro, wherever east of Ukraine they've taken this family from. But in this family, the parents were divorced. The mum was pro-Ukraine, so she considered herself and her kids Ukrainians, while her dad was pro-Russian. The dad's apparently bans the mum from leaving the territory. During the occupation, the children were forced to go to a Russian school. The dad basically said, "Yeah, we're not leaving. I want you to go to a Russian school." So why anyone would want their kids to go to a Russian school is beyond me. Anyone who's followed Dr. Ian Garner, he's got a good book about what goes on, what the Russian education in air quotes system is like. It's and what they do when they move into when they occupy Ukrainian territory. It's an indoctrination where anything that represents Ukrainian identity or culture is removed, and the children's Ukrainian identity is it's indoctrinated out of them basically. This family, despite the dad being pro-Russian, the mum being pro-Ukrainian, they were eventually reunited. But this story got me thinking about places like Donetsk, and people who have met Ukrainians who've fled Donetsk know that it's slowly been there's Russian settlement has happened there since 2014, and Ukrainians living there have either had to move or that they're still there, but they're living under conditions of oppression. So what kind of if the Ukrainian army, when the Ukrainian army ever liberates Donetsk, what kind of situation are they going to find there? How difficult is this going to be? What factors are going to be involved in the potential future liberation of Donetsk, which since 2014, of course, those of us who have followed this war since 2014 have been hoping to see at some point, but is looking increasingly unlikely at the moment, because it's a complicated, a very complex situation for families like the one that was somehow reunited and taken to Western Ukraine by Kubela's charity.
I don't know what's gonna. This is going to be a major problem for Ukraine. I don't know what you do. I don't know if there is a solution to it. It's going to be really bad. There's going to be a huge cultural problem. Now, I'm not sure what fraction of the society has fallen to Russian propaganda. It's not 100%. I can tell you that. But I don't know what the fraction is. I don't know if it's 50% or what. It's not 100% though. So there is some fraction of those people who are still pro-Ukrainian, and there's another faction that even if they're not pro-Ukrainian, they're anti-Russian. But there's also a group of people who left there and might want to return when Russia leaves. So I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah,
It's
I wanted to ask what you guys think about exactly that question. Like, I know a few that left. Um, they just want peace, most of them, um, and some of them, on paper, at least according to Ukrainian law, have property in, for instance, Donetsk. And I'm sure there are thousands of people who either left Ukraine completely or live somewhere else in Ukraine that, in theory, owns property that has been confiscated and given to someone else or sold to someone else by the mafia state that Luhansk and the Donetsk so-called People's Republic were for 8 years, and now is a part of the Russian Federation, according to the Russians, of course. But the people that control Donetsk and Luhansk are now fully under the command of Moscow and their authorities, and they now have basically stolen people's homes and sold them for corruption profits. How is that going to be solved?
there are some opportunities that Ukraine has here, in that Russia has really run a lot of these communities into the ground with either mismanagement or just no management at all. And Ukraine could maybe win people back just by running a government that functions. I don't know how well that could work in the long run, but you going from this like mafia pseudo government that doesn't fix, broken water pipes, doesn't fix, failed electric grids, pollutes everything and all that, like all it's a failed government basically. Replacing that with a government that, fixes the electrical grid, cleans up the pollution, installs, new water and sewage systems, builds schools, and gives people like functional roads and internet and all those sort of things. Maybe that could win people over. Or maybe it's just wishful thinking. I'm not really sure. I don't know. But I do know that a lot of those areas are really bad right now. I've read a lot of articles where people say, Russia has been here for like 9 or 10 years, and our electricity hasn't turned on yet. And Ukraine entered these towns in Kharkiv and turned the electric back on in a month. And why can't we have that? So
That's a good point, and the point on property is a good one as well. I mean, the 1991 independence votes by region had Donetsk and Luhansk in the 80s, 80%, 83, 86, respectively. The people who voted in that referendum, they are now the parents or the grandparents of people like the young people some of us have met who've come from Donetsk city and lived there for some of them lived there for 2 years under occupation before moving out, and they finally managed to escape to either Western Ukraine or to a European country or to somewhere across the pond, as we say in my part of the world. From what I hear, there's grandparents still living there, but yeah, that property is being occupied, sold off to Russian settlers that's obviously happening. But it's it's going to be a complex situation when Ukraine encounters it.
But not only to Russian settlers, like, apartments that were abandoned by people who rightfully own it, but left Donetsk because they went, looking for opportunities where there was peace and prosperity. In this regard to, opposite of what Donetsk has been the last 10 years. They own those apartments, but most of those were confiscated by corrupt people from the DNR, and the buyers are not necessarily just pro-Russians. It's just ordinary people finding an ad for an apartment for sale. In good faith, maybe buying them. Probably some not in good faith, but there is the chance that you actually had a person paying their own money, believing that they're buying the apartment of the dead aunt of whatever guy that is selling it, but in truth, it's a stolen apartment. That's a challenge whenever cities and villages will be liberated.
It's going to be an enormous problem, just absolutely enormous. I don't know how you fix it. We don't have a mechanism for fixing this. Like, our modern society is like, this is probably the issue that we're the worst at addressing, and it pops up all the time. Like this kind of like I don't know. Would you call this like, it's like a kind of tribal? I don't know what the right word is, but this issue comes up all the time, and we every time it comes up, we have no idea what to do, and everything we do is wrong. So, I think anyone who thinks they know an answer is lying. Anyways, Ireland, is there anything you'd like to talk about?
Well, I wish CJ was here because he was pretty impressed by something that the 92nd did, and I know that you two had a conversation about it.
Well, we didn't talk about that, but the thing he was impressed by was the 92nd organizing all of these Gimler strikes.
Well, not just the Gimler strikes, but the full coordination of multiple methods of fire from different elements. So other than the 92nd as well.
Yeah. So I believe the 92nd were operating as the recon. It's like I think it's a company in the 92nd that they specialize in like long range recon or whatever. And they fly the more fancy and expensive drones. Like I think they have a Shark and something else. I'm not really sure. But they flew out pretty far. You can see how far this is. I'll even measure it. So it's like 40 something kilometers. That's pretty far. That image, it failed to upload it. But anyways, so over 40 kilometers out there, finding targets, organizing, acting as like the forward eyes of the Gimlers or the HIMARS or whatever they were, M270s, I don't know, and they got those fire missions and blew everything up. They blew up a logistics depot, I believe, or something. Some sort of logistics thing here. The building absolutely exploded, which was impressive. They blew up an Aragon over there and a grad here. And in addition, there was another one I didn't locate, which was I believe it was in the video, they said it was one thing, but I think it was actually a missed S.
Yeah, so what was impressive is that they did this in a very short period of time.
I don't know what the period of time was, but maybe. Oh well.
Well, apparently, according to reports, they did it all in a relatively short period of time, which of course puts the Russians in a difficult position because they won't be able to sound the alarm and relocate other positions, and losses might be higher if you can organize fire missions relatively fast and execute them in a short period of time.
Yeah, so this was like a 10-kilometer circle. I don't know what that means, but if something blew up 10 kilometers from you, would you immediately relocate, or would you just say, oh, it's 10 kilometers away? Or 20 kilometers away?
Yeah, relocate. Definitely. I mean, that means like 10 kilometers. How much time does it take a shark drone to move 10 kilometers?
Well, this would actually be 20, because I forgot this is a 10-kilometer radius, so it's 20 kilometers total, roughly. I mean,
yeah, but still, like, okay, how much time does it take the shark drone to move 20 kilometers?
I have no idea. I don't know what the speed of a shark drone is. I have no idea.
Yeah, but I'm guessing less than an hour, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah,
probably.
That means you probably got to get your ass moving pretty quick.
It would probably be about 15 minutes, maybe. I don't know. Maybe like 20, 25. I have no idea. I don't know the speed. I'm just guessing. I'm guessing they fly like 150 kilometers an hour. But that's really fast. I don't think they do. I think like the FPV drones fly that fast. But I have no idea what the speed of a shark drone is. I was just estimating a FPV drone.
But anyways, I would relocate. And the thing is, even if you relocate, it might be too late, especially if they coordinate the fires in a short period of time. Or simultaneously. I don't know if they managed to do that. I don't think so.
I mean, if you had all three targets, you could shoot them all at once, right? You could, the Gimlers, you can time them. You can make them take different trajectories as they fly, so that they all hit simultaneously. So you can like change it to fly higher or lower into the sky, and whatnot, and other things too, apparently, to make them all fall at the exact same time if you want them to. So if you had all three targets, you know where they all were. You punched them all in your little computer. You could, in theory, fire all three back to back, and have them all land simultaneously. And then you'd have no warning at all.
Yeah. So the advantage of being able to coordinate this all through one command is that you could actually limit the time period this fire is happening. I wish CJ was here because I'm probably massacring the analysis of this here, but in this sort of operation, theater of operation, I would definitely want to try and relocate if I hear that someone is hit 10 or 20 kilometers away. And I'm guessing that both sides are doing that.
There was another thing that I read yesterday that I just want to bring up. I don't know if this is true, so I just want to put that out there. And I'm scrolling up trying to find it right now, but I don't know if this is true. Just we're gonna file this under rumor. So it's just interesting to me, rumor. So basically, this here is a guy. It's a Russian who wrote about a number of things, but namely here, what I found interesting was that that Russia has been since August turning these OF-98 shells, which are illumination shells, I think. Anyways, they've been converting them to high explosives, and they apparently went through and added their flight characteristics to all of their like ballistic calculators and whatever so that you could fire them. But they never really tested what it would do to the barrel if you fired them. And apparently they're absolutely destroying the barrels, which is interesting. And I think he claimed that I think he in this somewhere. I'm like skimming this now, but I think he said that at least one of the guns exploded firing these, and they have a policy where they shoot these guns with no crewmen near the gun when it shoots. So this is what it means by only with a gun. So they like tie a lanyard and fire it from as far away as possible. So anyway, this is a thing. I don't know if this is true. I just find it interesting. So that's that. I don't know if it's true that they are shredding the barrels of these shells. It's kind of amusing because the lack of barrels appears to be a weakness of the Russian army, and then converting ammo that destroys your barrels even faster is like a weird trade. But maybe it beats having Korean ammo. I don't know. North Korean, anyway. But anyways, Jonathan, is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Yes, I find it incredible that despite the war going on, that organizations like Save Ukraine still manage to get people out of the occupied territories and get them out of Russia in some cases as well. How they do this, of course, we'll find out after the war. But there's some incredible, inspiring work going on. And it's happening. Yeah, it's happening as all of this is going on.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Thanks.
Yeah. I think it's nice that they've been able to reunite children with their families. I have no idea how many children remain in Russia, but I hope they all get reunited. It would be nice. The guy asked me about the fire near the Kerch Bridge. I have no idea what that was about. Who knows? So, I mean, fires do spontaneously just start. So, I mean, it might not be related to anything. It could just be a grass fire. Or it could be related to an attack. I have no idea. Anyways, that's all I have to really talk about. There's not much other news to really get into. Most of the news is terribly depressing. Like, for example, a tractor today hit a mine. Or actually, it was just an explosive device. I don't actually know if it was a mine. The way they phrased it made me think it wasn't a mine. It may have been just an artillery shell or something. Anyways, the tractor hit it, and two men were pretty badly wounded. When they say moderate condition, I just want to state that having your leg amputated is considered moderate condition. So, moderate condition is not necessarily good. I mean, it's bad. I mean, it's better than critical condition, but it's not good. So, yeah. Anyways, so I think that I'll call it a day. I'm sorry if you thought I was dooming. I don't think I was dooming. I think you're going to see a lot more dooming from other people soon. But anyways, I just try to tell you how it is. So, thank you for coming, Jonathon and Erland. And thank you for everyone who showed up to listen. And you can share it with your friends if you'd like to.
Before you end,
Sure.
is there a fundraiser going on somewhere?
I have no idea. I don't know. Probably yes, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Okay. I'm guessing that Constantine has something going on.
I know he did like a really short fundraiser the other day. I don't think he's doing a big one. Let's see. No, he's not doing a big one. He just did a small one. He needed to raise like $2,000, and he got like 4,000 or something. But anyways, yeah, I don't know of another fundraiser off the top of my head. There's Liberty Ukraine. They're always fundraising. It's like all day, every day, fundraising at Liberty Ukraine. They're doing like an auction for a shirt, I believe, that was signed by Zaluzhny. So that's cool if you want to go buy that auction. Here, I'll try to find it real quick. Here you go. There's this auction. If you're interested in a shirt signed by Zaluzhny, you can go to this auction. And you can, here, I'll put this tweet in the description here. There. Now the tweet's in the description. There. We promoted a fundraiser. We did it. All right. So I'll be back on Tuesday, I guess. And yeah. Thank you for everybody for coming and commenting, and yeah, we'll see you then.